Hi everyone, and welcome to the Haunted Connection show. So we're bringing this to you from the Haunted Antiques Paranormal Research Centre in Hinckley, Leicester. And tonight we thought we would have a bit of a discussion on the spirit world and where people think it is, how people think it sort of operates, just all that, anything about where you think spirit live and where they reside. And I'm quite interested to hear your thoughts, your views, your experiences. So put all
Mm,
your comments down below, and we will do our best to have a good chat about it, won't
yeah,
we,
yeah. A few
boss?
people saying hello. Hello, everybody. I won't say hello individually because there's too many. I personally, I don't believe in heaven and hell.
Yeah, and that's
Personally,
do you believe in heaven and hell? Do you believe there's two separate places where spirit go, where spirit come from?
yeah. What do you believe in,
No,
Jane?
no, you started it off, so
I'll
you
start
can
it.
continue.
Um, well, I reckon because everyone's heaven and hell would be different, wouldn't they? Now, my heaven would not be the same as your heaven,
Hmm.
and my it wouldn't be the same as anybody else probably.
Yeah.
So I don't understand where that comes from, to be honest.
Well, it used to be the heaven and hell stuff. Again, it was all by the church, wasn't it? The purgatory bit, where you would be stuck in purgatory, not
Yeah.
going to heaven, not going to hell, and we were led to believe that heaven was up in the clouds, with all these fluffy clouds and angels that were sitting playing harps, and then hell was below
In
in
the
the underground in the
fire.
earth. Yeah, fire and brimstone and yeah, uh, suffering for all eternity. So
Mm.
that sort of coincided with the church, and there's been lots of different interpretations of where
Yeah,
heaven
yeah.
is and where hell is, or and in some cases people just don't believe in either of them. So um,
Let's put a couple of comments up, don't we? Hi, AD. Nice. Yeah, it's been a long time since I spoke to you, mate. Elias says hell is the earth place, not where you go when you pass over. Different levels, yes, but no hell when you pass over. And then Annette says no, heaven, hell are a religious hoax.
yeah,
Um, Noreen says live by church rules or go to hell.
yes, that's what they
So it looks like we're going to hell.
already been there. Going
Um,
back.
and that says you create your heaven on or hell on earth, as I believe you do so in as you do in death.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you believe in heaven or hell?
I don't believe hell exists, but I do believe that the spirit world exists, and I do believe that it's all around us in these open spaces all around us. And that's why it's easy for spirit to come forward and just literally through the veil. And that's where I believe all the good and bad spirits live. I don't believe it's just a place of just pure goodness. I believe you've got everything in that realm, creatures and demons and fairies and just human spirits, and I believe that they all reside in that place.
Yeah, that's what Noreen's comment. Noreen says, church instilled fear of hell to keep people following their faith.
Yes.
Exactly, that's just what we believe.
And not only that, to keep taking their money.
You love to say the church take your money, don't you?
Well, they do. This is
They
where all
do.
it was all down to all the peasants and all the people to sort of support the churches and to pay for everything.
Yeah.
Um,
As you know, I'm not religious at all. I'm actually very anti-church,
yeah,
anti-religion. The more demon connections we do, the more anti-church I am. I must admit. Um, it used to upset my mum,
yeah,
but she listens to me and she's coming around to it now. Actually,
yeah. That's good then,
no.
because we
Um,
do we do change quite a few people's thoughts on
mm,
on demons, and we've had quite a few people say about they've gone off to do their own research. And, it's changed their way of thinking.
Yep. And Noreen says that's why churches were so rich.
Yeah, and even now, the churches can still come on to people who live within their sort of boundaries for money for upkeep of the church. Because there was that case of quite a while ago, now a few years ago now, where the church actually took the house next door to court because they needed £120,000 or something to fix their roof. And because it was the church was sort of that the house was built within the church boundaries a long time ago, it was in the thing that the house had to sort of contribute to the upkeep of the church, and they had to sell their house and give all the money basically to the church to get their roof
Did you
fixed.
say something about one of your houses?
Yeah. It's there's still the sort of the altar tax on it, and that's for St Mary's church, because they do the searches when you buy the house. See if there is an altar tax, I think it's called, on there, to see whether the church can actually come on to you for you to contribute money to them. And although it's a sort of an old-fashioned concept, it is still very much alive in a lot of the deeds and covenants and properties. Yeah,
it is absolutely crazy. That's what. And that says, I believe in the spirit world. Absolutely, I had an out-of-body experience looking at myself in bed. We still exist outside the body.
Yeah.
If the church but the Bible is very contradictory, isn't it?
Yeah.
The church says if you're not good, you'll go to hell.
Yeah.
So why is the bad spirits then of these evil people? Why aren't they in hell?
Because I don't think hell exists.
Yeah. So
I think you're going to get evil spirits. You're going to, there are evil spirits, and they're not necessarily demons. There is a difference. They're just because they're branded a demon doesn't mean to say excuse me doesn't mean to say they're bad. But you can get some really vile, nasty spirits that are just dark entities, or just human spirits.
After all, there's probably nothing more evil than people like Ian Brady or Hitler and his henchmen.
Yeah. And as well, I think if you've sort of been a bit of a tortured soul, and I don't mean that by the physical thing. I mean, if you've had a lot of things say go wrong in your life, say like you've been rejected by your parents, you didn't get on at school, the teachers were always against you, you've had a lot of broken relationships and that sort of thing, and something that really makes you sort of a lifetime of people doing you wrong and resenting, you become to resent people, and it's that sort of thing, I think, that makes spirits angry and quite active in a negative way.
You seen all them cups behind us, Jane? Is that all we do all day? Drink tea? Okay. Noy says evil spirits like evil people.
Yeah.
Elias says, I do not like churches. Churches is all about controlling people and saying this is it and that is final. Very true. Claire says, I think maybe if they are bad in real life, possible too bad in the afterlife. Yeah, I believe that. And Annette says, vile in life, vile in death.
Yeah.
And Claire says, yes, so let's put my glasses on. I thought you got 3 thumbs then, Claire. Yeah, I just think, well, we find out people. I watch a lot of YouTube videos, as you know, and I've seen some quite respected YouTubers, and they're in outside locations, and they hear a growl, and they panic, and it says, "Oh, that's a demonic growl. I've got to get out of here." Who says demons growl anyway?
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be more likely to be a dog or an animal?
Yeah.
What noise? Badgers make hell of a noise, don't they?
But I think the church have been quite. I believe that the church does not want people to be as spiritual as people were once before, a long time ago. And even in interpreting the Bible, like King James Bible, they took out a lot of stuff. They omitted a lot of stuff that would give people um, a lot more spirituality. You know, sort of connecting with the energies of the universe for you to get abundance and for you to get health and everything else, and for self healing and all that. A lot of that was taken out because they didn't want people to be in control of their own spirituality. The church wanted to tell you what you were supposed to be thinking, what you were supposed to be believing in, and I do believe that we've lost a lot of spirituality along the way, where the Bibles have been interpreted and rewritten, all to just suit somebody else's purpose.
Yeah. And the church knows this. They're all in the vaults of the Vatican, aren't they?
Oh yeah, I bet they are.
AD says the Bible speaks of the reality of hell in the same terms as the reality of heaven. And Claire says, my grandma said also bad energy can come from bad situation if it's a powerful event.
Okay, so are we talking there about residual energy?
Possibly. We leave that all you, Jane.
You know my thoughts on residual energy, but you know, this is why we're interested in people's beliefs and their experiences, because everybody's different, and it's just great to hear such a wide variety of different views and experiences.
Yeah. And Claire says, so true. I have an old Bible. It's the English and foreign Bible. It's pretty battered, but completely different.
Yeah.
Different Bibles. Oh, Lynn says it's a control tool.
Yeah.
Eric says, I miss it. I had to get update about Dad. I hope he's all right. And it says that's why we see a lot of what is going on today. The church is losing control, so they have got to get it in other ways.
Yeah. And I always think this is one of the reasons why we will always be stifled from the truth. You know, even the truth of our own history. You know, God didn't make the earth in 7 days, as we're led to believe in the Bible, and we did not evolve, you know, as in the Darwin theory. And we're never going to understand or be totally allowed to understand all the history and all the archaeological stuff, because a lot of it's hidden away from us because they just don't think we're ready to see it or understand it. And I just think that's wrong.
Definitely. Adrian says Jesus spent more time warning people about the dangers of hell than he did in comforting them with the hope of heaven. Claire says yes and no. She said it can create an energy being. So it's not residual because it can think and cause activity.
So it must be a real spirit then.
So do you think if something really bad happened, can it create?
Well, you can't create or destroy energy, can you? The energy's there already. Yep. So you can't create or destroy an energy. It can change form. But I don't believe that energy can be trapped. And as for our human souls, our spirits, they cannot be duplicated or copied or replayed. You know, you can't have your real spirit in the spirit world and yet a copy that's sort of trapped in bricks and released every now and again when something triggers it off. That theory to me just doesn't sit right. It's too contradictory.
Yeah. Claire says yes, I agree. So, of course, the Book of Enoch was omitted from the Bible, wasn't it?
It was.
And was that sort of saying more of in the lines of spiritual stuff?
It was, but also it talks about the angels, and a lot of the interpretations from that have been about extraterrestrials and basically aliens that came down to, God being an alien, and him doing things, the Ark of the Covenant and that was. There's supposed to be a lot of energy coming off that. Is that radiation energy? Because of one of the theories is that it's got alien technology in it. So the Book of Enoch is a really good read if you want to learn a bit more about that sort of thing.
Claire says, I love the Book of Enoch, it's good.
Yeah.
And Ailey says, despite the Bible's clear teaching of both heaven and hell, it is not unusual for people to believe in the reality of heaven while rejecting the reality of hell.
Yeah, I do believe that you can create your own heaven here on earth if you've got if you're happy, if you're if you've found that inner peace, and finding that inner peace is really, really special. And if you can find that and find that happiness within, you will have that heaven there at your fingertips.
Excuse me. Annette says, I think the power of that knowledge, Jane, is kept by those. Jane's trying to look over the microphone.
This big microphone right in front of me.
I think the power of that knowledge, Jane, is kept by those who would be rulers to help themselves.
Yeah, and that was very much what happened when they sort of omitted a lot of stuff from the Bible. They still practiced all those things themselves, even how to pray properly. We don't even pray properly because the instructions have been taken out of the Bible. We're taught to ask for stuff, and that's not how you pray. They changed a lot, but they still continue to do the old ways themselves, but they made it so that the majority of the people could not follow the instructions to sort of true enlightenment.
Eric says, yeah, but I find that sometimes old transcript is translated wrong.
Yeah.
It's like Chinese whispers, isn't it?
It is.
Claire says, I agree, Annette. Yeah, definitely. We would love to get in the vaults of the Vatican. We never will do. But they know the answers. They've got documents that know the answers. But if everyone else knows the answers, the church will be gone.
Yeah, and it only takes one person with power to actually manipulate and change the way that people can and King James I, when he ordered a new Bible to be written, and a lot of us still that's the Bible that's still pretty much around today, and he was the one that was greatly against witchcraft and demonology and all that stuff, and he was of an influence where he could actually put in the Bible and have it translated in a way that would influence himself.
It's to suit himself, wasn't it?
Yeah, and to suit, to control the people around him, all the peasants and the common folk.
Bit like the government, really.
Yeah.
Claire said, I argued for ages with my mum because I said that the Bible was still written by man. Laugh out loud. Boy, that argument went on and on and on.
Yeah, and it is, isn't it? Yeah. They've taken a lot of the old scrolls that were found in jars and in caves in the desert. A lot of the old scrolls there were translated. Really, if those people that were doing the translation, had some sort of agenda or wanted some sort of power, they can pretty much translate it to whatever they want, and that's that doesn't help any of us, really.
No. And that says the Gnostics have some very interesting takes on who and what we are. They say we are species with amnesia. We forgot everything.
Yeah, I would agree with that. If you've seen some of the Graham Hancock stuff, a lot of the press and archaeologists have seen a bit, but he does actually bring to people's attention all this old stuff that was before the big flood. And there were civilizations, places like Göbekli Tepe, where that's been around for 12,000 years, and people were around doing stuff, building these places, and there were civilizations before that.
It's amazing, really, isn't it? Eric says the Dead Sea Scrolls, for one.
Yeah.
Claire says I'll have a look into that. Annette, thanks. That's good. Yeah. I've started watching things about the Anunnaki,
Yeah.
because you've said about them. It's fascinating, really, when you look
Yeah.
into
And
it.
once you start opening the lid, you can't
Yeah,
stop. You open a
it
can
is.
of worms.
It is fascinating. I've never been a big one for the church, I must admit.
No, but the influence when you sort of, and this is why I think everything is all sort of related. In the beginning, they thought that the origin of the civilizations was in Africa, but it's actually in the Middle East, around where Babylon used to be, and Sumer, and within the around the river of the Euphrates. And it's fascinating. You know, somebody says that they have actually found the Garden of Eden where that used to be, and there's just so much information that's out there, but also there's even more that's been kept from us because they just don't want us to know it.
And that says I'll burst into flames if I enter the church doors.
Yeah, that happens to me. I sizzle a bit around the edges.
Claire says, me too. I think there'll be a few of us, I think. I must admit, when Ben graduated with his MA, I had to go to a cathedral.
Yeah.
And I weren't comfortable while walking in there.
You see, I'm quite intrigued by churches because apparently some of the theories are that the churches were built on ancient pagan sites, sacred sites where there used to be portals. So they used to build the churches on top of these sacred sites, and I'm quite interested to see if there's any portals there. So if I go into any churches, I'm seeing if I can find the portals.
Strange one. Claire says, I don't mind York Cathedral. I quite like that one. Oh, they are beautiful buildings, I must admit.
Yeah, all built off the money of the people.
Eric says, built on ley lines.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm really into the Anunnaki at the minute, and Enlil and Enki.
Yeah.
If you want to know, they're the sort of basis for the demon connections, isn't they? Do you reckon? Or the big
I think
part
they're
of
just
it.
sort of like a basis for our for where we are now, because you know apparently they were the ones that changed our genetics. If you look at chromosome 2, have you got that far yet?
No.
If you look at chromosome 2, they actually changed the chromosome to actually give us that, because I think it was Enki. He was the master geneticist that was supposed to have changed our DNA to make us how we are now, and we've been like this for 200,000 years. We've not just been.
We're not looking bad then.
No,
200,000 years old.
We didn't evolve. We didn't evolve, and we didn't sort of evolve from the Neanderthals or the cavemen or whatever. We were because there's certain amount of things in our bodies, like our blood. You know, our blood clotting system, and that needs something like 40 different things to happen in order for our blood to clot. And our eyesight, you know, we need, there's lots of different mechanisms with our eyesight, and it's the sort of thing that could not evolve. We needed them things to be working instantly in order for us to survive. So there's a lot of information around that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Okay, Annette says, I got stuck in the Vatican on Pope Day. I was fighting to get out, but they would not let me past the guards.
Ooh, should have snuck down into the vaults.
Yeah, with a hidden camera. And Claire says, this is an interesting one. You answer this one, Jane. Claire says, is it to not believe in demons because I don't really believe in them? I get a lot of stick for it.
Well, it depends how you look at demons. We've worked with demons now for quite a while. We've done about 20, how many have we done? 23, 24 demons. And in our experience, the demons are really ancient souls. And they came with them being fallen angels, they sort of came to this world and they were involved in this big war in heaven, which we I believe was up in sort of the sky.
Space.
This yeah, and a lot of them came down to earth, which is why they were then sort of demonized because they wanted to lay with the daughters of men and they wanted to stay here and set up homes and farm and all that sort of stuff. They wanted just a normal life. So they were demonized for that. But I do believe that they are just ancient souls, and a lot of them have been, they're just they can be very helpful teaching maths and geometry and making people fall in love. And we haven't really come across a bad demon yet because they seem to have a purpose, but it doesn't seem to be evil or negative.
And Claire says, is it okay? I mean, sorry, I get bad eyes sometimes. She says, that's my excuse, not my fat thumbs. And then she says, I've missed a lot, I'm afraid, though. I bought a Ouija board from you guys, watched all the time, but missed a lot after. Well, hopefully you'll continue to watch. I think, Claire, you'd find the Demon Connections live feeds interesting. So before we started the Demon Connections, I probably didn't believe in demons because you're brainwashed into thinking demons are the Hollywood, the TV paranormal shows type of evil entities.
Yeah.
But when you research it, like James researched them, and look into them and start chatting to them, they're not bad at all.
Yeah. Well, I used to be really quite scared of demons. You know, I was brought up. I've always seen and heard and been aware of spirit right from being a child. But I was brought up to sort of go to church. I was confirmed. I used to go to church every Sunday, sort of right up until I was 16. But it never really sat right with me. It didn't feel. It felt there was something missing. There wasn't. It was like a conflict. And it never really sat right with me, and I had to try and sort of find the truth.
Okay, Claire said thank you for that. Then she said, I had surgery, guys, so I just wasn't active, that's all. Oh, I hope everything's okay now, Claire.
Yeah, I hope you feel better.
Annette says Demon Connections are brilliant. Thank you, Annette.
Good, thank you.
And then she says, Claire says, I was dragged up. There's nothing wrong with being dragged up. I must admit, when I told my mum about the demon files as it was then,
yeah,
she was really worried for me.
Oh.
Because obviously my mum's old, so she was the sort of Bible type thing. She didn't go to church, but she was religious, a little bit religious. So I think, if you're religious, you do go down the demons are evil route.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of paranormal investigators go down that route as well, without knowing,
or even doing a little bit of research. Yeah, the information is all out there. Most of the information that we bring to people on the Demon Connections is in the public domain. You know, I've got quite a lot of books on demonology and there's a lot of information there, but I also just use the internet in general just to cross-reference and there's just the information's out there. If you've got a demon in mind and you think you're a bit worried about him, just do a Google search on him, and I'm sure once you've read up about him, you'll probably think twice about what he's going to do.
Yeah. Claire says, my mother is a Christian, one grand was Catholic, my other was a crazy witch.
That's a good mix.
And she says, I was so conflicted growing up though, honestly. But now, have you found your own way now, Claire?
Yeah. Find your own path.
The Patrol Paranormal says, my parents think I'm mad doing paranormal investigations after I was scratched. I agree at first. I was nervous about demons, but Hollywood make them out to be worse than they are.
Yeah.
without
True.
doubt, Hollywood and the TV paranormal shows, to me, do so much damage and so much false information. It's unreal.
You know, even in it's not just that as well. There's also in a lot of the games, you know, a lot of the PC games, the demons are used a lot in them. In things like Diablo 3, there's sort of demon, the names of demons that are used in them, and again, if you do another a Google on the demon, you can see also what games that they've been involved in and people's interpretations of what they look like.
Yeah, and as I don't know your name, sorry, it's come up the Patrol Paranormal after they were scratched. You see it all the time on Zach Bagans, don't you? 3 scratches, automatically think it's demonic. Why would a demon have 3 fingers anyway? But if you're going to scratch somebody, you would scratch with those 3 fingers, wouldn't you?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's good when people get a good scratch.
So do I.
People are. That's the experience that you want, isn't it?
Definitely. Claire says yes, absolutely, thank you. That's good news. And then Jessica says, hi both, I truly enjoy your Demon Connections content. I'm pagan, and as a pagan, we've used some of the deities, spirits and deities. We are all as one in a way.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, Jessica. I also have a lot of very much pagan roots.
Yeah. So if you've not, anybody watches not watched the Demon Connections,
we are doing one.
We're doing it.
Sunday.
The next episode is this Sunday from 9 o'clock, and it's going to be a bit of a special one. But I'm not saying anything about it until you watch. I've said this before though, but to me, at the minute, the Demon Connections is the most important thing that we do.
Yeah, it's a long, ongoing project. And if anybody don't know what we're doing with the Demon Connections, the idea is that we're looking at all 72 demons in the Lesser Key of Solomon, and what we do is I summon the demon. That's off camera. We don't let anybody see that. But I summon the demon and invite him to come and work with us. And all the spirits in the centre stand back, so there's just only him. And we try and work with them and try and understand or try and get information from them about what they're doing or where they're from and that sort of thing. So so far it has been really, really good. It's been such a worthwhile journey.
We've learned so much.
Yeah,
I must admit, in the perhaps 2 years now, in the year and a half that we've been doing the Demon Connections, I've learned more about the paranormal than in the 10 years previous I've been involved.
Yeah. And we are lucky enough to have the research centre, and you know, we have had people that have sort of fallen out with us and sort of, you know, because we're doing this, but at the end of the day, we're a research centre and we don't follow rules because we want to. I mean, who wrote all these rules in the first place anyway? You know, we like to test and push the boundaries quite a bit, so we can try and find out as much as possible.
Yeah. Claire says, could it not be the frustration too through the scratches? I mean, they go to asylums, and I'm sure some of the spirits there will be frustrated and just lash out. Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I did see his YouTube channel once though, and they says that the spirits are stuck in that building. They cannot get out of that building.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, yes, they can.
Yeah, they can. And it's the same when you see some of these people who call themselves rescue mediums. You know, you're not necessarily rescuing spirit. There's not many spirits that are trapped or feel that they can't move on. Spirits can generally move anywhere and go up. You know, there's not restrictions and boundaries unless it's in their sort of belief that they are stuck there or they are confined there for some reason. But I'm always a bit weary about people who call themselves rescue mediums, because spirits don't necessarily need rescuing. They're already in the spirit world.
Claire says, I so cannot spell tonight. I do apologise. Fine. Don't you worry about that. Yeah, keep your comments coming, because we do like as many comments as we can. But like I say, if you've not seen the Demon Connections, I do suggest you doing it. You watching it. If I say so myself, it is fantastic series, and I know Annette watches it and Jessica watches it, and they've said it's good. The Patrol Paranormal says, on the SP7 necrophonic spirit boxes in one location, we picked up on the name Beelzebub. Immediately we were like, time to leave, because of what we had been told by a demonology expert that was watching the live stream. Okay.
Cool. Yeah. Well, if you ever come across Beelzebub, ask him to produce a load of flies for you. If you, because he's the one that's supposed to be Lord of the Flies, isn't he? And he ask him to just produce a load of flies, and if he doesn't, then question who he is, really. I always like them to show me proof of of what they are, and Beelzebub is normally good with about all the flies. And I would say don't always listen to everything
demonology
that you're told. You just go with your gut instinct and go with what you know, even if it defies what other people are telling you. Just do it anyway.
But is Beelzebub actually an actual one of the demons?
He's not one in the 72. I don't think
it was, because we've had him in the centre.
Yeah.
Very nice guy, I thought.
He wasn't that bad.
But again, you see, demonology experts, I would imagine, I don't know, because I'm not a demonology expert, they go along the routes that they're evil.
Yeah, I always think sometimes with people who say they're experts in demonology, I always think they're sort of automatically programmed into thinking that demons and stuff are
yeah. Amy says he was a pussycat. Annette said, I'll catch up with the others. Annette says spirits probably use those names so you go away and leave them alone.
Yeah,
that's very true. Because if you're using SP7 or Necrophonic app, and it says I'm Satan or the devil, some teams would go out, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
But I doubt very much if it was one of the demons.
Without being there, it's always a bit difficult to say, isn't it?
Okay, let's catch up. Claire says, I will definitely watch, thank you. Good idea, that. Jessica says, have you both read The Lesser Key of Solomon? It's a great book to have to read about each demon, their characteristics, etc.
Yes, that is the book that we're working from with the Demon Connection. So we're looking at all 72 of the demons individually over quite a span of time, really.
Yeah.
And then once we've done all that, we are hoping to put all our findings in a book.
And it's going to be a bestseller. We can retire.
Yeah.
Claire says, yes, I agree. They call themselves other names sometimes. And then Noreen says, don't think anyone is a real expert. They might well read on the subject, but that's so different from being an expert. Yes, definitely. I don't regard anyone involved in the paranormal an expert. We don't refer to ourselves as experts, do we?
No. People can be very knowledgeable, which I think can be really helpful. But I don't always take a lot of notice when people say about experts.
Yeah.
Because I think the proof is in the pudding, really.
Yeah. and even, no, if you come across a place where Ian Brady's spirit is, he could show himself as anything, couldn't he? He could pretend to be anything.
Yeah. I mean, most spirits could they can choose how they manifest and how they portray themselves.
Because after all, when you die, do you intend to scare people who have crossed you?
I don't know if I do. Asked, to be honest. I just want to be in peace.
All these people have crossed me. I'm going to haunt you. not you lot, obviously. You lot are nice. And what about the ex? And that says, I think nature spirits should be more to worry about than demons. They can be nasty if they want to be.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think sometimes the fae can be more nasty and give you a run for your money than the demons.
Yeah. And Claire says they can. Yeah, definitely. Robbie says, hope you're well. Claire says, absolutely agree. Yeah, it's good. It's all an interesting subject there.
Yeah, we've done a few home visits where the fae have caused quite a bit of chaos in people's houses, and you know they're not sort of phased by it at all, and they've got no conscience. They don't feel guilty about anything. They'll take the piss and they'll upset you as much as they like because they can.
Yeah. Oh, Jessica says that would be fantastic if you both wrote a book and put your findings in there. I'd look forward to that very much. It's very nice how open-minded you both are. Nice to be feeling mutual. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We just basically say what we think. We don't have an ego, and that's important in the paranormal.
Yeah.
We haven't got an ego at the centre.
Yeah. And I do think it's really, really important when you're doing any paranormal work to try and stay as open-minded as possible. You don't want to go into anywhere or do any experiments if you've already preempted what's going to happen, or you've already thought about how it's going to happen, or what's going to go on in it, or what's going to appear, or and if you've done research on the place and say Fred Bloggs lived there 100 years ago, are you already influencing yourself into thinking, as soon as something happens, oh, that's Fred Bloggs, and I think it's really important to just try and keep an open mind as much as possible.
Yeah. Claire says they can be pesky little monsters. Oh yes, the fae are mischievous. Not that all are small.
No, there are some big fake characters.
Nori says there are tricksters in spirit as in life, so it's always best to have an open mind.
Yeah.
Robbie says, I was out on Saturday at a private home, had to perform the rite of exorcism, totally drained me, still not 100%.
Well, what did you exercise there? It'd be interesting to hear what it was that you got rid of.
Yeah. Then he says, need to get a few of my friends together and come see your building. Jacqueline is always telling me how amazing it is. Yes, Jacqueline's a good friend of ours, and she's one of our hosts. We do our own events here, and Jacqueline is one of our hosts. Save me actually doing some work.
Yeah, Jackie's been a friend of the centre for quite a long time.
She's been coming for years, Jacqueline has. So, no more comments yet. So who's the next demon? Can you remember his name? You can't remember, can you?
No, not off the top of my head. No.
we are doing the next Demon Connections this Sunday from 9 o'clock. Like I said, it is a special. I'm really looking forward to it. Jessica says, but a lot of people still leave offerings for the Fae and work with the Fae, not with demons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fae like their offerings, don't they?
They do, and I think it's nice now and again to give the demons an offering as well, just to show gratitude if they've done stuff for you.
Yep. Sarah says, evening, just popped on. Sorry, I forgot tonight.
No worry. Nice to see you, Sarah.
As long as you're okay, Sarah, that's all that matters. Robbie says, it was a nasty piece of work. Whoever had the house before, these tenants painted a summoning spell on bedroom ceiling. You can still see it through layers of paint.
Oh, interesting.
Okay then, here's an interesting one. Andy says, what do you think about groups charging monthly fees?
What's that for? Fees for
to watch the shows, do you mean? To watch the live feeds?
Do you like Patreon and stuff like that? Yeah. I can understand why people do it, but I just think are you restricting your audience? And I know it brings you in a bit of an income, but I decided not to sort of sign up for any of them, watching any of them, because there was too many that I wanted to watch. I mean, previously, before Patreon and the money sort of thing come along, everybody's live feeds were sort of open and you could watch them. And if you're following quite a few people, although people say, oh, 1.99 or 2.99 isn't a lot and it's just once a month, if you've got 10 or 15 people that you want to follow at that, it soon adds up. And I just think sometimes they're restricting their audience, and I'm not a big fan of people who sort of put money over.
And on Facebook now, you can have stars or something.
Yeah, paying stars and
But
stuff.
the only people making money out of stars is Facebook. And do you think he's got enough?
Yeah.
We won't charge for our live feeds.
I don't think people get paid anything until they've reached over 10,000 stars, and I think the first 10,000 stars go back to Facebook, and then people get paid after after the first 10,000 stars or something. So yeah, I can't see us ever charging.
No, we're not charging. Well, Sarah says she's good. Yes, we're okay. I'm still coughing a little bit. But Jane went on holiday again last week, so she's okay now.
Yeah, I have to get rid of my chest infection. Bit of Austrian fresh air did me good.
Robbie says, Andy, there's a rip-off, doing it for money rather than the research. Noreen says, I always think ego creeps in when it starts being monetized.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a shame. Noreen says, and also people under pressure to provide content so starts to be faked.
Yeah.
To keep viewers.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Because those who do paranormal investigating or ghost hunting, whatever you want to call it, know full well some nights are damn boring.
Yeah.
And if you paid £2 or $1.99 and sat there for 2 hours, nothing, are you going to feel ripped off?
Maybe.
Claire says, that's what you said on YouTube. No, that's what they said on YouTube. I have so many memberships now and never realised how much until I look. Because it's 99p here, 1.99 there. But it's in total, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to do something where we can have a bespoke thing for the Demon Connections that's free. And adverts annoy the hell out of me as well. But I don't know what that is. Jacqueline says, I'm against stars. Facebook keep trying to make me have them on my page. It's a P-tape. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
It comes up on us when we start our live feeds. It comes up. Do you want stars or something?
Yeah.
Robbie says it's the fact most of these teams claim to get spirits on every live. That's not possible. And also the clickbaits annoy me.
Yeah. Demon possessed
Demon
whatever.
Possessed me.
And then you watch it and there's no demons in it at all.
Nothing's happened, mate. But as soon as you put the demon in it, people think it's going to be scary.
Yeah.
So, any more comments, anybody? Jane's getting hot, she turned the heater down.
Turn the heater off, starting to cook. My shins are starting to melt.
Claire says, yeah, I've done that too. Noreen says, if someone gets spirit every live, that makes me turn off, as I know it just can't be real. It just don't happen, does it?
No. I mean, we have off nights, quiet nights.
Claire says, thought, oh, look at this, then it was nothing. Yes, to me it's false advertising, which is against the law.
But I think it's a bit deceitful as well against you. people who are watching.
Yeah. So we won't ever charge for our live feeds. We could do, but we won't. Because I wouldn't pay for them, so I wouldn't expect anybody else to.
And I'm a bit stingy like that as well. I won't pay for mine.
Claire
But
says,
for me, I think it's because I suppose we have the privilege of working with spirit, and spirit very often want you to share the information, or they want you to teach other people or help people learn. And if you're going to profiteer off that, then I know people who have sort of gone down that path, and spirit have stopped working with them because they are not being honest and true and working in a sort of a way that's it's just not right. Spirit don't like it when you profiteer and try and rip people off.
Sarah says, sorry God, pray the cold weather, take hubby to work, catch up soon. See you soon, Sarah.
Bye.
Hopefully we'll see you at the centre soon. Robbie says, before I come to see you, how many dolls do you have? Things give me the creeps. Would need to mentally prepare myself, or I'll be ringing and screaming like a little girl. Well, I'm not going to tell you then, Robbie, because I think I love people running out screaming. No, so we do have a doll room with a few dolls in.
Yeah, but I don't.
A bit more than a few.
But it'd be quite entertaining to see you running and screaming. Although I do hate to see a grown man cry.
Claire says, I get creeps from dolls too, not sure why.
Yeah, clowns. I can't do clowns. Clowns do.
You're not going to go into the new bit thing we're doing there.
Clowns.
We are going to make a new part of the centre this weekend.
I've never liked clowns as a kid. They always disturbed me then.
Nori says, I watched people I've thought were really good until they got a bigger social media presence and went down the money route, and now it's laughable. It's so cringy and fake. It's a shame though, isn't it?
And that's one of the reasons why it becomes cringy and fake, because they're not sort of, I feel they're not sort of working in an honest way where they can share the information that's spirit or that's showing them or whatever, and it just becomes commercialized. And because spirit won't work with them, then they then have to start faking stuff.
Yeah. Claire says, I used to love Cindy and Barbie back in the day. Yeah, I think it's the same as the TV shows. I'm not saying all the TV shows, but I think the production companies have to have something exciting.
Yeah, and they have to have that fear factor, don't they?
Yeah.
They like the fear factor.
Because I was invited to be part of a TV show until they told me about it. And I said, no, that's not right. That's not the way to do things. Nori says, I agree, Jane. It becomes entertainment.
Yeah.
So those people you're on about paying for shows. Demon Connections will never be paid for. That's always going to be free. Do you think that's exciting, or do you think it needs to be exciting? What do you think?
I think it needs to be truthful and honest. Same with all the stuff that we do. If we work with a particular demon or entity or whatever, we need to be honest and truthful about it. And if nothing happens, nothing happens.
Yeah.
If they turn out to be completely different from how they've been portrayed, then that's we need to record that and capture that, and not necessarily go with what everybody tells you.
Nori says, needs to be real to be credible. It's good. Not that I'm going to change, but we won't change the Demon Connections.
No.
I think they're exciting.
And that's the whole point of doing it. So we can summon the demon, we can ask him honestly and openly. He can manifest and show us what his true form is, he can tell us what his true name is, because some of them have given us different names that they prefer to be called, or their name's been misinterpreted. Some of the some of the ways in which they've manifested have been completely different from how they've been portrayed. So I think it's just the whole point of doing this is to sort of find the truth, really.
Robbie says, truthful is what shows need, but fun when someone screams. Yeah, definitely. I do love it on when we have teams up and somebody screams. Jessica says, you are both very kind and humble. Thank you for not charging, especially with the cost of living nowadays. It's hard times, and we all definitely appreciate you both and your content. Thank you very much. Yeah, times are hard, and that's why I've actually lowered the price for teams to come in.
Yeah.
Claire says, which is great because so many fake it now. They do, unfortunately. And Robbie says, except when that screamer is me. Sorry, Robbie, but I don't care who screams. I just like screamers. So yeah, we're not going to change the demon connections. I think it's perfect as it is.
We found the right format.
Yeah,
we
really just don't know what's going to happen. We've had one that we did it in the old medieval room, didn't we?
Yeah.
And to be honest, he just couldn't be bothered. He came, set the REM pod off, did a few things, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then his mate was standing in the doorway.
And that was one of the hardest. We really had to work hard for that one.
And it was as if his mate was waiting. Was it Bale?
I think it was, wasn't it?
Waiting in the doorway, saying, "Come on, we're going down the pub." And although not a lot happened there, it was hard work, but it just proved to us that
they've
all got their own character.
Yeah, all got their own characters, got their own way how they work with things. And I always just find it interesting when they show themselves in a completely different thing to what the description is, which is great.
Yeah, this one, I can't remember which one it was, but it was supposed to show himself as a knight, so we did it next to the knight's arm, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it was as if, come on, I'm going to watch the football. But at least he came.
Yeah.
And had a little chat, set the REM pod off a little bit. I didn't do a lot else.
But even that was just so enlightening, wasn't it? It was just so educational for us. It was a really good night.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't need to be in a building for hours and hours and hours. Most time when we go around people's houses, if they've got an issue, we can be done within an hour. If the spirit's there, it's there. If if there's problems or whatever, we more likely can have them solved within an hour.
Yeah.
And we don't stay long, but you don't necessarily need to be in a building for hours and hours and hours on end.
No. And it says, I think people should be more scared of the living than the dead. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Why is it, do you think? Oh, look at the time. 2 minutes to go.
Ooh.
Why is it some of these shows show the paranormal as really, really scary? Even the introductions are scary. And
because I think a lot of people don't necessarily want the truth. They just want the sort of the adrenaline rush of doing, running around a building, or the scary bit of perhaps going into a building that they shouldn't be in, or it's that sort of say like the adrenaline rush of just sort of doing it. But unless it's truthful and honest, then I can't see what you're trying to do.
Claire said, I'm absolutely more scared of the living, definitely. Robbie says, scary is entertaining.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So, with our life, obviously, paranormal blackout is more scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because when the paranormal blackout, you're upstairs in the pitch black with just a night vision viewfinder to see by. So that is scary, but then even the experiments, they're getting answers to what they're asking anyway. So
yeah.
Demon Connections isn't about being entertained as such, is it?
No.
It's just about the truth. And that's what we're looking for. We're doing it for us to find the truth. And we're just fortunate that people will like to watch it and they're changing. A lot of people change their views, aren't they?
Yeah, we want to share with people what we're finding out and what we're learning, because I think it's important that people can have a different like a different perspective on it, and not just be fed the the brainwashing stuff and the programming that the Bible and the religion sort of tell us about.
Evening, Bill.
Evening, Wild Bill.
Robbie says most of what we do is actually boring. Can take hours to get a little bit of contact unless you ramp up the area and try to intimidate, which some shows do. Yeah, we've had them. So anyway, it's gone 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
so
it's gone quick.
We just want to say thank you very much for all your comments. Obviously, thanks for watching anyway. We don't like talking to ourselves too long. Yeah, the next Demon Connections is this Sunday from 9 o'clock. I think it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, and if you've got any ideas or any thoughts of what you'd like us to discuss on this show, then just send us a message, and we'll put it on the it on the list.
Yeah. Leading up to the para meet in September, I will be inviting one of the speakers to come and chat beforehand as well. Good. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you very soon. And please tune in on Sunday for the Demon Connections.
Bye for now.
Bye.